Welcome back, everyone. It's here. And today I've got some r/BestOf for you all. As per usual, I'll be reading you the posts, giving you my opinions, and I hope you do the same down in the comments below. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. This post was collected by Direct Caterpillar 77, and their tagline is, "Satan is not a pogo stick." The original OP is, "Throw RA Secret 0, posted to r/relationship advice, November 26th, 2020. My brother-in-law is making claims that he knows my secret, and I don't understand. My brother-in-law, 30 male, is my sister's, 29 female, husband. We live on opposite sides of the country, and my sister and I aren't that close. So I'd say that we don't know each other very well. We see each other at family gatherings maybe a few times a year, and he's always come off as a very average kind of quiet guy. Around 2 months ago, I received a text from him out of the blue. It wasn't to check up on me or asking how I'm doing. The message said he's aware of what's going on, but that there was no need for me to worry, and he'd keep it hush-hush. I wrote a quick message back asking what on earth he meant, but all I received back was another reassurance that I had nothing to worry about, and that he was on my side. At that point, I gave up and assumed it was some weird joke, even though my brother-in-law has always been pretty serious. Recently, I was in a Zoom call with my parents and sister. The first thing my sister asked when she saw me was, "Are you going to tell everyone the truth or just my husband?" Obviously, I was confused and I mentioned the text message brother-in-law sent me, but my sister still seemed angry at me, and I have no idea why. The next day, I called up my brother-in-law and asked him, "What the hell is going on with this?" He was very cagey on the phone and just kept repeating rhetorical questions back at me, like, "Do you know what's going on?" I'll admit that I lost my temper at one point and snapped at him since he wasn't giving me any answers. That was a bad idea since this morning I got a new text from brother-in-law telling me that he'd tried to do me a favor that I clearly don't appreciate. He mentioned, "We'll see what happens this weekend," which is the next time we're all meeting for a late Thanksgiving. Honestly, I'm terrified. The thing is, I have no idea what secret my brother-in-law could possibly be talking about. I don't live a very exciting life, and I mostly keep to myself. There's a part of me that's still scared of whatever truth he says about me to reveal, even though I don't think I've done anything wrong. What do I do? Too long didn't read. My brother-in-law is sure that he knows some secret about me, and he's threatening to reveal it. I have no idea what he could be talking about. How do I stop him/fix this? Top comment. Not Epiphany. My first thought was that you might have a vindictive ex who posted nudes of you online or something, but that shouldn't make your sister mad at you, unless she's mad that her husband went looking for nudes online, and it's easier to be mad at you than at him. Second thought is that there's a porn actor out there that looks kind of like you and he thinks he has blackmail material because he's an idiot. In any case, since your brother-in-law is clearly devoted to being an ass, call your sister. What the hell is your idiot husband doing? He's been sending me messages for months about keeping some secret quiet. I have no fucking idea what he's talking about, but it sounds like he told you. So would you mind cluing me in? Relevant comments. Untitled 33. Rumors and more, smiley face. Talk to your sister, tell her you have no idea what's going on for her to find out, and tell you before the get-together. Otherwise, the way things are stacked, you might be walking into a roadside bomb situation. OP responds, "It's going to be hard to talk to them. My family and I aren't close at all, and growing up, I always took the blame for everything that went wrong in our house. I'm really scared that my parents will believe whatever my brother-in-law tells them because I'm the troublemaker of the family." Update, December 6th, 2020, 16 days later. Hi everyone. Just before Thanksgiving, I posted about my brother-in-law harassing me over a secret. Well, Thanksgiving came, and I was terrified. I almost backed out entirely and stayed in bed all day instead of going to the Zoom meeting. I did end up going in the end, and the first 20 minutes were incredibly awkward. My family and I aren't really compatible at the best of times, but there were silences that lasted minutes. Eventually, my mother gave in and said, "We'd better get this over with." I've never been more terrified in my life. I somehow snap my phone case in half because I fidget with things when I'm nervous. My brother-in-law started talking about how he'd tried to keep my secret from me, but clearly I wasn't grateful. And then he told everyone, you should know that she's gay. What a fucking weasel. Everything got really awkward again, except for a different reason. My whole family already knows I'm gay. I have no idea how brother-in-law never found out before now. I don't get on with my family, but me being gay has never been one of our issues. It's something nobody bothers me about and we don't talk about. My sister lost it with him immediately and said, really? This is what you've been going on about? We ended the Zoom call very early since my parents decided they were tired, but I think they both just didn't want to deal with this anymore and were sick of me/brother-in-law. I've decided to block brother-in-law's number in my phone since, other than this, we had no messages anyway, and I'm not going to be visiting my sisters anytime soon. Too long didn't read. My brother-in-law was harassing me about my secret. Turns out he had no idea what he was talking about and I'm fine. Brother-in-law is actually just a garbage person, and I hope the sister broke up with him, because this dude thought that he had some juicy blackmail on OP, and was trying to be like, oh, don't worry, I know your secret, but I can keep you safe. Trying to be wink wink nudge nudge with it, and when they didn't bite, it was, how dare you be ungrateful that I'm not spilling your secret. Anyways, I'm gonna go spill your secret now. Then he makes this whole spectacle with everyone surrounding him and OP's family that he knows this big, shocking, and daring secret. But he goes around and tells his wife, like, oh, did you know that your sister is sharing personal secrets with me? I just thought you should know. Because that kind of bullshit would explain exactly why the sister reacted the way she did in the initial Zoom call meeting. If the brother-in-law phrased it as though he and OP had some kind of heart-to-heart and shared the secrets with each other. Which would 100% explain, if he's phrasing things like this, why the sister would then snap at OP with, are you going to tell everyone the truth or just my husband? Anyways, dude's a homophobe, thought he had blackmail, and when the OP wouldn't bite or be cowering over him knowing the secret or being grateful that he's keeping it, he then decides to out OP, or at least in his mind, out OP, by then bringing it up at fucking Thanksgiving. Like, thank God OP's family was already aware of what was going on and didn't really care. And it just made brother-in-law look like a complete ass. But there is another universe where this went very differently and was very bad for OP because brother-in-law thought it'd be funny to out them and display the big secret because OP was ungrateful in a really weird roundabout text message exchange where he was being kind of fucking creepy when it came to OP's big secret. He's just gross, and I hope that the sister ended up divorcing him. This post was collected by Choice Evidence 1983, and their tagline is, of course, it dawned on me that he was a wizard. The original OP is Comfortable East 2670, posted to r/whatdoIdo, November 5th, 2025. I'm seriously reconsidering my relationship with my girlfriend because of a test. What do I do? Not really sure what exactly the correct formatting would be here on Reddit, but I need to get this out somewhere, so I figured this is a decent option. To serve as some context, I've been dating my girlfriend for almost a year now, and our relationship has been great, aside from this. We've always had a very strong bond, or at least I thought so. Now, for why I'm seriously thinking about breaking up with her. Last night, she sent me a text message, which I'll spare all of the details, but it was essentially her saying that she had been cheating on me for half of our relationship, but she still loved me, and didn't want to end things because of what she claimed to be a mistake. It took me a few hours to respond, mostly because I was just absolutely shocked by what she had sent me. I had never even once considered her to be unfaithful in any way. She had always been loyal. After those few hours, I ended up calling her. On that call, she told me that the entire message was a test or a prank. She said that she wanted to see whether or not I'd still love her, even if I thought that she had cheated on me. I just think that that's absolutely crazy to do to someone you claim to care about. I spent hours stressed out of my mind. I've never been too happy about people testing their relationships. I just think that it's stupid and that it breaks trust. Now that she's done this to me, I don't know what I want to do. Sure, we've had a great relationship aside from this, but I think that what she did is kind of ridiculous. Am I overreacting for genuinely reconsidering my entire relationship because of a test? Top/relevant comments. OP responding to asking how old OP is and his girlfriend. I'm 19 and she's 20. I really do think that what she did was really immature and genuinely pretty stupid, but I'm still pretty torn because of the fact that she doesn't usually pull stuff like this. Commenter 1. Yeah, walk away. She wants to play stupid games and give you the stupid prizes. Commenter 2. I think she's already cheated and didn't get the response she wanted, so now she's pretending it was a test. Either way, trust is broken. Break up with her. Update. November 8th, 2025, 3 days later. I want to thank the people who commented on my last post for helping me understand just how wrong what my ex-girlfriend did was, and for also bringing another thing to my attention. A lot of people who commented said that she was likely cheating, even though she claimed her message was just a prank. You guys are right. After seeing people's advice and opinions on my situation in my last post, I decided to look into things more. I went ahead and texted my friend, who was the boyfriend of my now ex-girlfriend's close friends, and asked if he had heard anything about my ex-girlfriend cheating on me. He hadn't heard anything, but he ended up asking his girlfriend and finding out that my ex-girlfriend was seeing another guy on occasion. And by occasion, that apparently meant at least once every couple of weeks. He looked into it further for me and let me know that his girlfriend told him that it had been going on for almost half of my ex-girlfriend and I's entire relationship. After I found this out, I pretty much immediately called her on the phone to try and confront her in some way. I was pretty upset because before she pulled that prank, I had never even suspected a thing because she was always such a great and supportive girlfriend. When I called her, I told her that I found out that she had genuinely been cheating on me and that we were done, and she instantly hung up. I have not heard anything from her since I called her earlier today, but it's safe to say that I'm done with her and her games. Gonna toss her junk she has at my apartment in the trash sometime within the next couple of days if she doesn't try to get them back. Thank you guys for helping me see what she was doing. Commenter 1. I'm really sorry you're going through this, OP. I hate to bring this up, but you should really get into the clinic for a full STD panel. Do it before you start your next relationship to ensure you're okay. Take care of yourself, OP. You sound like you're a really good guy, and you'll find your true partner who will never do this to you. Commenter 2. I'm really sorry you're going through this. It sounds like you gave your all in that relationship and believed in someone who turned out to be dishonest. And that's not on you. What you found out makes it totally understandable why you're done with it. Also, just as an important note here, before you go and throw any of your ex's stuff out, really just double check your state's abandoned property laws or your country's abandoned property laws, because last thing you want to do is throw the stuff out and then they have a claim or a case for you essentially destroying their property. So it's always wise just to make sure you understand and do research into those, and this goes for the audience too. If you ever have a messy breakup and your partner or ex-partner left their possessions at your home or apartment or wherever, you gotta look into the abandoned property laws before you just go and toss them. This story also does make me wonder how many of the quote-unquote tests we see are actually just not tests and trying to either feel out the water for potentially being honest or, that was just the fastest excuse they could think of when they get caught with the truth of what's actually going on. I still, to this day, don't understand why people choose to do relationship tests. In this case, though, it was a complete fucking sham and definitely an excuse, but it is still just something of, why would you want to purposely violate your partner's boundaries to get a reaction out of them, just for the sake of your own personal satisfaction? That's weird. This post was collected by Shattenspringer, and their tagline is, waste of a read, literally no drama. The original OP is Wen who posted r/relationship advice November 2nd, 2025. I, 23 female, told my boyfriend, 25 male, that I won't get a job to make him feel less jealous of my financial situation. English isn't my first language, and I'm not good at writing, but I seriously need advice from people not connected to us. I've been dating my boyfriend for a little over a year now. We met through mutual friends and had a pretty usual relationship until now. It wasn't perfect, but we never fought much. He works as a manager in a restaurant while I'm still in university. His life was pretty difficult from the start since he grew up with alcoholic parents and not much support in general. Since day one, he had to work hard for even the most basic things. He couldn't allow himself to get a higher education. He had to continuously work since he entered adulthood. I, on the other hand, have a big family that always supports each other. When I started going to university, they continued to financially support me. My parents help with the bills and give me some allowance. Grandparents, aunts, and uncles also often send things here and there. I'm on the campus for my lectures most of the time, but I also tutor 3 times a week, getting enough money from it for groceries. I'm good at living below my needs and saving, so I don't need that much cash. All that background is needed for you to understand where our conflict started. Around a month ago, my boyfriend started making little comments about my financial situation. He would say, "It's nice to spend someone else's money," or "You wouldn't survive if you had to work for all that money the way I do." I immediately caught on to those comments, but I didn't think it would grow into something more. I thought that maybe he's just fussy because he's overworked. I tried to be understanding, knowing it must be difficult for him to work as much as he does. I proposed that maybe we should move in together to lessen the burden of all the bills on him. I even said that I can help him with some groceries from time to time. He called that insulting and said that he could never agree to either of those ideas. Unfortunately, it got worse. It feels like almost every day we fight, as he calls me lazy, a trust fund baby, or says that I don't know what real life feels like. He also started sending me random job listings, telling me to apply, even though I don't have any time for those jobs. The biggest fight was yesterday. He came over to my home for dinner, and while I was cleaning, started talking about another job listing. By that point, I was at my limit after seeing like 100th random job offer. I blew up at him, angrily telling him to stop telling me to get a job. That university is my job and my main focus. I must admit that I said some mean things along the lines, "You only want me to get a job because you're jealous of my situation, of my family's support." He stormed out and doesn't really talk to me now. He sends short messages back, but he doesn't pick up his phone. I tried apologizing, but he tells me that he needs time to think everything through. Was I truly that harsh? How do I make him see my point? Or maybe he has a better point and I should deny my family's support, filling my schedule to the brim with uni and work. Is there even a way for us to reconcile? Please help. This is my first serious relationship and I don't want to mess it up. Notable comments. Additional girl 7915. He's seeing you succeed and wants to bring you down to his level. Don't allow it. I also don't think this is the man for you. If he feels bad about you helping with groceries, how will he feel when you have a uni degree and will earn more than him? OP responds, "That's actually a really good point. I'm not studying something that will make me extremely rich, but it is the kind of degree that will allow me to live a very comfortable life. Thank you for giving me something to think seriously about." General comment from OP. I started my final year of uni, so I should be done with it by June next year. I didn't add this to the post as it felt unimportant, but I did work in the past. Although I always knew that my family would support me, because that's the kind of people they are, I wanted to put something from me into it as well. I worked during high school. Each month, I saved most of it and gave a small part of it to my parents as a symbolic rent. It wasn't anything special, mostly cleaning after hours or doing paperwork stuff, but it's still something that will help my CV look less empty, haha. If everything goes well, I already have a job to start in after uni. The place I did an internship in as part of my studies really liked me, and for now, really wants me to join them when I finish studying. Comment from user laughing at salads. Any man who respects you will respect your priorities, which are absolutely correct. Your job is studying. You also tutor, which is not effortless, and you want a good degree. He isn't husband material. He's unsupportive, jealous, and doesn't respect your goals or your attainments to date. Oh, and he doesn't like your family's values either. Release him to the universe and carry on building your own life. It's sad, and he might be cross for a while, but he's not for you. User causative agent comments. He's verbally attacking you on the daily. You can't fix that. You deserve better. User 00Lisa00 comments. This guy is a turd and not worth your time. Dating is to determine what you want and, more importantly, do not want in a relationship. Someone who denigrates you is not something you want to fight to keep. Move on, focus on your schooling, and don't give this guy another thought. Update, November 10th, 2025, 8 days later. I thought that I should make an update for those who might be curious about how my situation got resolved. A lot of the comments advised me to break up, but I couldn't just do that. I wanted to at least try and talk it out, foolishly hoping that suddenly we would find common ground and fix everything. A few days after the fight, he finally called me to set up a meeting to discuss everything. Between the fight and the setup meeting, I've been looking for some solution myself, per advice on here and from my IRL friends. I tried looking for some outside support, and I researched some well-rated but cheap therapists around the area. When we finally met, he was the one who really wanted to speak first. He told me that he appreciated that I gave him a few days of space to think things through. Then, he said that he hates to do it to me, but he needs to give me an ultimatum. If I wanted to stay with him, I need to find a job and cut financial support from my family by the end of this month. I could see that no but in the world could sway him to change that choice for him. I didn't even have a chance to mention the help I've been researching, kind of freezing for a moment instead. It might sound silly, but I've never experienced love disappear as quickly as it did in that moment. I didn't even know that it's possible. His words broke whatever charm he had and made me see that ultimatum for what it truly was. His attempt at managing my life to match whatever idea he had in his mind. All the comments from here flooded my mind as I realized that all of you were correct. Sorry for even doubting you all. I broke things off immediately. I wish I could say that I told him something smart or cheeky, but I literally just said that I'm done and left, tearing up the whole way back home. He called and messaged me a lot since then, saying that maybe we can discuss things, that it doesn't have to be an ultimatum, but a goal for the future, etc. But I don't think there's a way of fixing things. I'd be lying if I said that I don't have any love for him left. It was my first serious relationship that I thought might genuinely last, but now it turned into my first serious breakup. Things are a bit difficult now as I grieve the idea of my first love, but I know that I'll get better, sooner or later. Your advice in the last post were pretty helpful and gave me lots to think about, so I'd like to ask you for one more advice. If you were me, what would you tell mutual friends in a situation like this? I'm already getting asked by our friends about what exactly happened, but I'm worried that if I tell them the truth, this whole drama will continue and people will be talking about it, and I won't be able to emotionally rest from this situation. I'm tempted to just tell them it was a mutual breakup or something, just to be done with it all, and leave it in the past. So in OP's final request, the best thing that they can tell their friends is just a condensed version of the truth, because if you don't and just say it was a mutual breakup, but then he says that you broke up with him or anything other than what you said, he controls the narrative, he gets to tell people what's going on. But if you let people know, yeah, he gave me an ultimatum that I need to cut off all financial support from my parents and get a job while still completing university, or he'd break up with me. That alone spells out exactly what happened and doesn't give him a chance to run away with his own version of events. Now, the thing about ultimatums, and we've had this conversation on this channel before, don't give an ultimatum if you can't handle both outcomes of said ultimatum, because it is clear by the messages that OP was getting, even though we don't know what they were saying, the fact that the messages continued after she decided not to go with his ultimatum idea of cutting off the parents, says that he genuinely thought that she would fall in line with the ultimatum and things would go his way. And when she chose not to, that caught him off guard, and suddenly it's, well, we could maybe work this out just a little bit. We could still discuss things or, have a goal for the future, etc. But what goal is there for the future? Because OP will be graduating soon and having their internship become an actual honest-to-God job. What is the point of this ultimatum? Beyond just wanting control and wanting mutual misery for both of you. There are some people that in relationships, their partner is not allowed to be happy if they're miserable, and will actively try to sabotage their partner's happiness because they would rather both of them be miserable than one of them be happy and the other not. Misery enjoys its own company, and that's kind of what's happening here. This wasn't a situation where OP was bragging to her boyfriend about how great it is to have a, happy family and to have all this financial support. This was the boyfriend just being jealous of the fact that she's not working a miserable job. I mean, she's still working. She's getting her degree and also working as a tutor. She just doesn't have a job that makes her miserable at the end of the day. I think that OP 100% dodged a bullet, because if this was the kind of logic that he was running, where while she was in university, he was actively bombarding her with job applications, what would have happened if she actually did get a job for her degree? Would it have not been miserable enough and he would have still sent job applications because she's not coming home exhausted? But he let his resentment build, and it turned into an ultimatum that he thought that he was going to win. And he didn't. This post was not just collected by JSMK, but also sent to me by JSMK. Thank you for that one. And their tagline is, a groan that sounded like a T-Rex with a hot poker in its ass. The original OP is Careful Improvement, posted to r/stories about Kevin, June 3rd, 2020. I own a bowling alley. My former employee was the ultimate Kevin. Posted about an idiot vandal last night, and it reminded me about this guy I used to employ. I own a mid-sized bowling alley with about 10 employees. Kevin was 19 when this happened, under a year ago, maybe 8 months. I hired him after losing 2 employees in a week, so I was desperate for somebody. He did so much damage, it was worse than no employee. Here's some of Kevin's greatest hits. He was caught humping a bowling ball in the break room. Kevin intentionally forgot to put oil on the lanes because he read somewhere that it would make the ball blow up, and he thought that would be cool. Kevin eventually got removed from anything except for serving food and drink. I figured this would be okay. Oops. That was a mistake. Pretty soon on the first day, I put him on duty serving food for a full shift. A woman comes up to the counter and asks to see the manager. Confused, I ask her what happened. She tells me her pizza is too dry to eat. You know where this is headed. I go to check on Kevin, but he blocks the entrance to the back room with his body and yells to the woman at the counter, "We used a new tomato sauce!" I immediately panic. This is clearly a lie. We don't make our own pizzas. They're food service. I push past him and discover this son of a bitch is serving the customers week-old pizza that has been sitting in a cold, dry room. Kevin tells me, "I didn't want to waste food and I thought you would be mad at me." We had a Christmas party one time and Kevin literally tried to go down the chimney of the business, but the motherfucker couldn't get down further than his waist. The firemen came to get him out. We found him playing one-person soccer with our plastic food containers, kicking them and running after them and trying to kick them into goals, like the pin setter on the bowling lanes. I was using the toilet once when Kevin walks into the bathroom and stands outside my stall calling 911 to report I was dead. I tell loudly, "Hey, I'm alive in here." Kevin tells me, "You weren't moving. I thought you were dead. Sorry." Cops still had to check it out and search the whole place. He bought a taser and used it on himself while on the job. Kevin told me he bowled a 300, with no proof of course. He got super defensive when challenged, up to the point of sending me a Photoshop pic of a 300, claiming it was his. Then he told me it was just an example, and his looked like that. It was only an example, I swear. And starts crying. My business partner, I'll call him Rob, who worked with for 20 plus years, was left in charge alone with Kevin one night when I went home and the others weren't in. While I'm home, I get a text from Rob. I hate N-words, Jew slurs, and lube suckers. Turns out Kevin took his phone. Then I fired Kevin. That was too much. Still the worst employee I ever had. I own a bowling alley and my former employee was a huge Kevin. Part 2, June 4th, 2020. I figured I might as well post a few more stories I remembered about the bowling alley. For context, read my first post. He left his phone out for all of us to see with the Pornhub search T-Rex with a hot poker in its ass. In the middle of a shift, Kevin started shrieking and letting out a groan that sounded like a T-Rex with a hot poker in its ass. Turns out he got a paycheck and noticed it was less than the $480 he earned for $12 an hour at 40 hours. He forgot taxes exist. And cap Kevin? Kevin asked a new employee, call her Jane, she'll be important later, to go into the storage room and get a box of strikes. Jane spent 2 hours of a 4-hour shift searching the whole establishment before coming to me to ask what the fuck a box of strikes was. Kevin went out into the parking lot mid-shift and started laughing and whooping, also screaming, "I'm on a unicycle with no seat." He had stolen my business partner's crutches. He broke his leg that week, put wheels on them, and was rolling down a hill, falling on his ass every 15 seconds. He broke a bowling ball in half. One time, Jane was serving pizza to a customer, and Kevin stopped her mid-conversation with the customer to loudly let her know this customer was a bastard. It was one of our most frequent customers. An old guy. Apparently, the night before Kevin was out of my sight for 2 seconds, the motherfucker put mayonnaise on the poor old man's pizza. We don't even have mayo in the fridge. He brought it from home. The old guy told Kevin to throw away the pizza and get him another. This made the old man a bastard by the Kevin scale of moral rules and superiority. JSMK leaves a quick editor's note. There was a third post that was removed and that I was unable to recover. However, OP left this comment in reply to a comment on the third post saying that there's no way these stories are true. Perhaps you don't realize how few people will work here in a small town Iowa bowling alley. No Kevin, no livelihood. When I fired him, it was impossible to decide even at that point. As a quick heads up, there are 2 subreddits that I'm looking to give a bit of a beta test, potentially this week or next week, and that's Hobby Drama and Stories About Kevin. This was a little taste of Stories About Kevin. It's basically just stories about dumb, destructive himbos. And not the charming kind of himbo either. You know, the ones that are against women's suffrage because they don't want women to suffer. Now, Hobby Drama is kind of gonna be a messy one because it's not the usual type of content, but it's still a pretty lengthy read and definitely has a lot of potential. It was actually recommended to me on my Tumblr. But I'd be very curious to see what you guys think and if this is something that, you guys would be interested in. A wonderful title of one that I was considering including for the first one is Revolving the Hobby of Just Dance, the Just Dance incest debacle, when Ubisoft was accused of homophobia, but it actually wasn't. So if that kind of stuff interests you, let me know, and we'll give it a shot Tuesday or Thursday. Don't forget, this is brought to you by GamerSupps. Use code ODDS at checkout. It's basically a caffeine powder that you put in your water, and I actually really like it. I use this on a daily basis. Don't forget that every purchase you make using code ODDS directly supports the channel. And if you want a personal recommendation from me, I would either recommend the Soda Pressing Pear or Dragon Fruit Punch. Those 2 are currently my favorite flavors. And as a note, once we sell a certain amount of stuff, I get my own flavor and my own cup. And you all know I'm gonna choose some degenerate shit that's gonna make their PR team squirm. My goal is to make them regret partnering with me. So please, use code ODDS at checkout to make my dream come true of making a PR team squirm.